Welcome to our virtual classroom. Join me for some fun learning. Hello, welcome to Legacy Lineage Online Learning. I am your host, Miss Nichole. Welcome. I have a super duper story time for you. This story came to us all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I am so excited to read it. The author wrote this story and then reached out to me through our social media and said he'd like to have it on story time. So I am hoping that all children who watch this story time will really enjoy it. And if you do, tell your parents so that they can get your own copy of Gardening Your Mind. That's right, gardening your mind. If you notice behind me, I have all different types of flowers up near my head where my mind is, because this author is talking about the importance of your thoughts, the importance of what you think. So let's get into this book, Gardening Your Mind. Your mind is a garden, and you are the master gardener. That is a fact that we should all know. So be mindful of the thoughts you choose to plant, because those ideas are sure to grow. Plant thoughts as beautiful as daisies, lavenders, lilac, and lilies. Plant thoughts that offer substance like fruit and veggies, in addition to those that are pretty. Many unwanted objects can trash your garden if it is neglected. So there are different types of garden. There are flower gardens, and there are also fruit and vegetable gardens. And so behind me, I have a pumpkin. It's not a real pumpkin, it's a fake pumpkin, but it's showing that you can also have a vegetable garden with pumpkins, and sunflowers produce sunflower seeds. And I like what he's saying about choosing your thoughts, because there's a saying that says your train of thought. And when I think about that, I think about trains. They take you places. And if you're not careful, if you choose the wrong train of thought, you will end up at the wrong destination, just like he said here. If you choose negative thoughts, or if you let your garden be neglected, you might not have the best outcome. But let's see what we can do. It says, treat your garden as you would treat your good thoughts. Keep them protected. So if somebody comes and tries to trample in your garden, you would say, no, watch out, be careful. And that's what she's saying. Watch your step. So you got to watch your train of thought. It says, do not ignore your weeds. It is best to address them before they can grow. So sometimes you will have a thought. Let's just say we read a story about feelings. And in the book about feelings, it said that he saw something and then he decided whether it was good, if he liked what he saw, or if he didn't like what he saw. And based on what he chose is how he reacted. So when you have thoughts that come up, you have to make a choice and decide, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else, or I am going to do that. So if someone was to, like say one of your sisters or brothers or someone was cleaning up, mom or dad was cleaning up the house and you were playing with your toys, you could have a thought that says, go help clean up the house. But then you could also have another thought that said, no, play with your toys. You get to decide what train of thought. And so it says, pay attention, because guess what? If someone's cleaning up all the time and you decide every time, I'm not going to help, I'm not going to help, I'm not going to help, that thought could be saying more. It could be saying that you don't like to help, that you're lazy, or even selfish sometimes when you prefer to do only the things for yourself. So again, we have lots of thoughts and we have choices. But most of all, give your attention to what is beautiful. Again, most of all, give your attention to what is beautiful, because you reap what you sow. Never let negative thoughts hang around to grow big and strong. So he said, you reap what you sow. And that's a little bit like I was saying, that just imagine, let's go back to someone cleaning up in the house and you decide, I'm going to help. So then maybe you make a big mess, and because you help someone when it's your turn to clean up or you have to clean up, they may decide, I will help you too. But even if they never decide to help you, you still made a good choice in picking the right thought and doing the right thing. So he says to pay attention to what you think. And it says don't let the negative stuff hang around, because remember, I told you, if you always choose to never help out, never help out, never help out, that frame of mind could be that you are lazy or selfish or just busy, busybodies. So it says a master gardener does not allow things to stay that will harm their own lawn. Let us not be mistaken. Weeds are not all bad. They serve a good purpose. And as you can see here, it looks like some bugs are trying to invade in the garden, and she is pushing those things out like to make room for the beautiful plants and vegetation that she wants to see. And he said here, weeds are not all bad. Let's see what he means by that. He says, weeds are a visible signal that warn us of work that needs to be done beneath the surface. Spend time daily to clean out your garden's pollution. I like that. See, she's making a choice here. Am I going to always never help when I know someone needs help? Or am I going to decide that I will put down my toys and help and then get back to playing? And then over here, she's kind of thinking, I think I like that idea. I think being helpful is kind, and I think I want to do that. And you have to make those choices. You see her calendar? Every day you have to make the choice. For a happy life, daily mental care is a key solution. Believe strongly in your passions and expect the best to grow and sprout. So I want to talk about that a little bit too, because this author who wrote this book, on the back, he talks all about why he wrote this book. And he believes strongly about teaching young children about the power of your mind. So he had a thought and decided, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to put it out, and I hope children buy it, and I hope people read about it. And guess what? That is exactly what's happening. He had the thought to say, I'm going to ship this book from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Connecticut so that Miss Nichole can put it on Storytime and it can reach even more children. You see how he gardened his thoughts and really good things came out of them? If you get a chance after the story, go on a map or a globe or even Google on your phone or have a loved one help you and see how far Milwaukee, Wisconsin is from Connecticut. That is how far this book and my t-shirt traveled, just so that we can present it to you on Storytime. Let's see what else. It says the same as you would plant rose seeds and expect roses, there would be no doubt in that. So if you plant a rose, you expect roses. If you plant sunflowers, you expect sunflowers. If you plant pumpkin seeds, you expect to get pumpkins. Thoughts, like seeds in the soil, cannot be seen, but just as real as the flower. So once you have a thought, even though you can't see it, it's just as real as that seed that went in the ground. It will come up. And how you know is because when you have the thought, we're going to go back to the example of helping clean up. If you have the thought, I'm going to help clean up, what happens after that? Usually an action. So usually after you help, you say, I'm going to do something, then there's an action. Our world is an extension of our thoughts, and our thoughts hold real power. So nurture and water only the thoughts that you would like to see blossom. You could even be thinking, tomorrow I'm going to build a super duper Lego castle, and you can think all about the way you would like to design it. And then when you get up the next day and you've had time to do your schoolwork or whatever you need to attend to first, and then you actually watch the Lego castle that you were thinking that you were going to make actually happen. Your negative thoughts Feel them, work through them, then toss them. So again, it's not saying that we won't have bad thoughts. Maybe you decided, I help clean up every day. Maybe just today I won't help clean up. There's nothing wrong with that every once in a while. But if your choice is always, I never want to help, I never want to help, as you can see here, these thoughts have bugs around them. But as she is working, look, they're even on her arms, they're all climbing up. But as she is working on thinking good thoughts and deciding, I want to be more helpful, you see less and less bugs. And then finally, she has reaped the reward of all the helpful thoughts that she had. From that point on, you will truly have more than enough to freely give your neighbor. Share with other gardeners. Be respectful and kind to one another. And again, I'm going to use Carlos is the author of this book. I'm going to use Carlos as an example. Carlos decided, I want to write a book for children about the power of their thoughts and the importance it is to think the right things. And then he decided, you know what, I have a good idea. Now I need somebody to be an illustrator. So he found someone to illustrate this beautiful book for him. Now this book has been written and illustrated and sent where? All the way to Connecticut from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for me to read it so that you guys can enjoy it. You see how those thoughts were all shared and they work together? Let's see what else happens. Always remember that the most magnificent lawns are filled with every shade of every color. And I love that idea because being different is not bad. It's actually a good thing. Because this took different people to make the story. It took an editor, it took an author, it took an illustrator, and now we have the story. Choose uplifting thoughts regularly and water them into existence. Soon you will realize things that you dislike can rarely enter when your garden is given proper attention, and nothing can stay without your permission. Sow seeds of wholeness and confidence, honesty, gratitude, and delight. Those are some great words, and if you don't know what those words mean, maybe you can ask a loved one if they will look up those words for you and tell you what they mean, okay? You will surely reap the benefits of those traits in your life. Remember, all material things started with a seed. And when you are the gardener, you choose the kernels indeed. Okay, so he's saying everything that we see started with a seed. So story time, that was a thought in my mind. I think since everyone is quarantined way back in March when I started and everyone had to stay home, then I thought I would love to be able to read stories to children. And here I am when Carlos thought about writing his book and having a book for children to read. Here it is. When he then decided, you know what, I think I'd like a t-shirt. Here it is. And you know what I thought when I saw him wearing the t-shirt? I would love to wear that t-shirt. And here it is. If we use the example of helping to clean up, like I said, if you have the thought and then you help clean up and someone will say, thank you so much, I really appreciate you helping me. It says your mind is a turf. Embed thought seeds of empowerment, compassion, generosity, and love. Those qualities will bloom onto your earth. The end. I really like this story. If you liked it, you can watch it again, but I do want to point out one part of the story when he talked about if we neglect our thoughts and when we ignore the weeds. And then he said you have to give your garden proper water. Well, I want to show you what happens. So these flowers are all, they're not real flowers, but they are what real flowers would look like if they were watered and taken care of. These are not weeds in the gray. Those are different kind of plants. Those are called succulents. So they look different, but they're not bad weeds. If you water them, they will grow properly and be beautiful. But here's what happens. Remember back on story time, we dyed celery after we went to the apple orchard for our virtual field trip. And while these had water in them, they were doing really good. They were sitting up straight, and the bottom of the celery absorbed the colors, and we made yellow and blue and green. But do you remember what happened shortly after? I dumped the water out, right? And these have just been sitting, and you want to know what? Do they look healthy? No, I'm even scared to touch it because they're dry and they may crack up. So this is what happens when you don't pay attention and you don't pay attention to the weeds. You hear it, they're all crispy. And when you let things stay in your mind, when you don't water the right thoughts, when you choose the wrong train of thought, okay? So make sure that you are taking care of your mind, just like Carlos instructed us to do in his wonderful story. Make sure that you choose the right train of thought, because your thoughts frame your world, and that's just food for thought. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. See you next time. And remember, you are the you in unique.